Hello everyone. Let's continue our discussion about the normalization. In this video, let's discuss about the normal forms like BCNF, fourth normal form and fifth normal form. First, let's discuss about the Boyce Court normal form BCNF. This BCNF is the stronger form of third normal form. That is, we are adding one more condition to the table which is already in third normal form. So, a relation is said to be in BCNF if and only if every determinant is a candidate key. We already know what is a determinant, right? Determinant means the left hand side of the functional dependency. Okay, we are adding one more condition to the third normal form, that is every determinant should be a candidate key. If a relation is said to be in BCNF, then every determinant should also be a candidate key. Okay, when a table contains only one candidate key, then the third normal form and BCNF are equivalent. That is, the BCNF can be violated only when the table consists of more than one candidate key. Okay. And every relation in BCNF is in third normal form. But a relation in third normal form is not necessarily in BCNF. Now let's have a look between this third normal form and BCNF. The definition of BCNF addresses certain situations which the third normal form does not handle. The definition of third normal form does not deal with a relation that has multiple candidate keys, where those candidate keys are composite and these candidate keys overlap. So the third normal form cannot deal with a relation which consists of multiple candidate keys where the candidate keys are composite and overlapping. Overlapping means they are having at least one common attribute. So the BCNF differs from the third normal form only when there are more than one candidate keys and the keys are composite and overlapping. So as we just said, a table is said to be in BCNF, then every determinant should also be a candidate key. That's a constraint here. Okay. So if you want to normalize a table from third normal form to BCNF, so the first step is we have to identify all the candidate keys in the relation. Then we have to identify all the functional dependencies in the relation. Then we have to check whether every determinant is a candidate key or not. Determinant means the left hand side of the functional dependencies. Okay, so every determinant is a candidate key or not. We have to identify that. If they are not, we have to remove such functional dependencies by placing them in a new relation along with the copy of the determinant. So the various steps are: first, we have to identify the candidate keys in the relation. Then we have to identify all the functional dependencies in the relation. Then we have to check whether the determinants are candidate keys or not. If not, we have to remove that functional dependencies by placing them into a new relation. Now let's look at an example. We are having a supplier table with the attributes supplier number, supplier name, city and SIP. And we assume that each supplier has unique supplier name also. Okay, so the supplier name is also unique. So the supplier name can also act as a candidate key. So for the table supplier, we are having two candidate keys, the supplier number and the supplier name. So we identified the candidate keys. Then the second step is we have to identify all the functional dependencies in the relation. So the various functional dependencies are supply number implies city, supply number implies SIP, supply number implies supplier name. Similarly, supplier name implies supplier number, supplier name implies some city, supplier name implies SIP. So when we look into this, all these six functional dependencies, all the left hand side, we can see that either the supplier number and supplier name both have candidate keys. And so this relation is in BCNF because both the determinants, the supplier number and supplier name, are candidate keys. Now let's look at another example, the client interview table, which consists of 5 attributes: client number, interview date, interview time, staff number and room number. Okay, so the first step is we have to identify the candidate keys of this table, and the various candidate keys are the client number and the interview date, Then the staff number, interview date, interview time, room number, interview date, interview time. So these are the three candidate keys identified from this relation. Okay, when we look into these three candidate keys, we can see that one of the attribute is common. The interview date is common. That is, the attribute interview date is overlapping. And one more point, all these candidate keys are composite keys. That means the keys consist of more than one key component. Okay, so these keys are composite and these keys are having one overlapping attribute. And among these three candidate keys, we are selecting one of them as a primary key. The client number, comma, interview date is selected as the primary key. Okay, and this relation has three composite candidate keys which overlap by sharing the common attribute interview date. Okay, so we identified all the candidate keys in the relation. Now we have to identify the various functional dependencies in the relation. And we can see that four functional dependencies are existing in this relation. And when we look into this, the first three FDs, the determinants of the first three FDs are primary key or the candidate key. Whereas the last FD, the staff number, comma, interview date implies room number. The determinant of this FD is not a candidate key, and so this relation is not in BCNF. So if you want to convert this table into BCNF, we have to decompose the table. So this functional dependency will be moved into a new relation. Okay, so the client interview table is decomposed into two: the interview table and the staff room table. The interview table consists of the attributes client number, interview date, interview time, and staff number. And the staff room details table consists of staff number, interview date, and room number. So far we discussed about the various normal forms which are based on the concept of functional dependency. Now let's look into the fourth normal form which is based on the concept of multi-valued dependency. Okay, for a table to satisfy the fourth normal form, it should satisfy two conditions. The first condition is it should be in BCNF. And the second condition is the table should not have any multi-valued dependency. Multi-valued dependencies express a condition among tuples of a relation that exist when the relation is trying to represent more than one many-to-many relationship. Multi-valued dependency represents a dependency between the attributes. For example, let's have the attribute name as x, y, and z for the relation R. So for each x value, there is a set of y value and a set of z value. And the point is that this y value and z value are independent of each other. Okay, so for each x value, we'll be having a set of y value and a z value. The y and z are, however, independent of each other. So this multi-valued dependency occurs when there are more than one independent multi-valued attributes are there in a table. A table is said to have multi-valued dependency if the following conditions are satisfied. The first condition is the table should have at least three columns. Then the second condition, for a dependency A implies B, if for a single value of A, multiple value of B exist, then the table may have multi-valued dependency. And for a relation R which consists of the attributes A, B, and C, and if there is a multi-valued dependency between A and B, then B and C should be independent of each other. Okay, if for every A value there is a set of B value and C value, but this B and C are independent. If all these conditions are true for any relation, then it is said to have multi-valued dependency. So a multi-value dependency, which is denoted by a double-headed arrow B specified on the relation schema R, where A and B are both subsets of R, specifies the following constraints on any relation state R on R. If two tuples T1 and T2 exist in the relation R such that T1 of A is equal to T2 of A, then two tuples T3 and T4 should also exist in R such that T3 of A is equal to T4 of A is equal to T1 of A is equal to T2 of A. That is, in all these four tuples, the A value is same. And the case of B, the tuple with third tuple and the first tuple will be having the same B value, whereas the fourth tuple and the second tuple will be having the same B value. And one more condition, the third tuple, the Z value of the third tuple and the second tuple will be same, and Z value of fourth tuple and the first tuple will be same, where the Z is equal to R minus A union B. Now let's explain that concept with the help of an example. If you are given with the first two tuples and if the MVD X double implies Y hold over the relation, we can infer that the relation instance must also contain two more tuples, the third and fourth. So we are having two tuples T1 and T2 with the combination A B1 C1, A B2 C2. Okay, so they are the tuples T1 and T2. Then as per our definition, we'll be having two more tuples T3 and T4. So in all these tuples, the A value is same, right? So in all the tuples, the X value will be same as small letter a. Then the B value. The tuple T3 will be having the B value same as tuple T1 and tuple T4 will be having the B value same as T2. That's as per our definition. Then similarly, the Z value. The T3 of Z will be is equal to T2 of Z and T4 of Z is equal to T1 of Z. That is, we'll be getting two more tuples T3 and T4 if the first two tuples T1 and T2 and the MVD X implies X double implies Y is hold over the relation. So whenever this X double implies Y holds, we can say that X multi determines Y. X multi determines Y. Okay, and because of the symmetry in the definition, whenever this X multi determines Y holds in a relation R, we can also have the another MVD X multi determines Z. Okay, because this Y and Z are independent of each other. So if we are having the MVD X double implies Y, then because of the symmetry, we can also say that X multi determines Z also. So hence X double implies Y implies X multi determines Z, and therefore we can also written as X multi determines Y or Z. Okay, so we can also written it as X multi determines Y or Z. Okay, fine. Now let's look into this trivial and non-trivial MVD. And MVD X double implies Y in R is called a trivial MVD if Y is a subset of X or X union Y is equal to R. Either one of these conditions should satisfy. Either Y is a subset of X or X union Y is equal to R. If neither of this condition is satisfied, then it is called a non-trivial MVD. So an MVD that satisfies neither the condition A or B, then it is called as a non-trivial MVD. Okay. Now let's look into some examples for explaining this concept. Here we are having the student relation. The student relation consists of three attributes: student ID, course and hobby, and this table is in third normal form. When we look into that, we can see that the course attribute and the hobby attribute are two independent entities, and there is no relationship between the course and hobby. Whether the student is taking the course computer or math, his hobby is not at all related to the course, right? Okay, fine. A student with the student ID 101 contains two courses, the computer and math, and he is having two hobbies too, dancing and singing. So there is a multi-value dependency on the student ID, which leads to unnecessary repetition of data. Okay, so the two records for the student with ID 101 will give rise to two more records because for one student, two hobbies are existing. Hence, along with both the courses, these hobbies should be specified. For example, we can have the row like this: 101 computer dancing, or 101 computer singing, or 101 math dancing, 101 math singing. That is, we are, which leads to unnecessary repetition of data, which leads to some anomalies, which leads to some redundancies. So, we have to decompose this table. So to convert the student relation table into the fourth normal form, we have to decompose it into two: student ID, comma course in one table, and student ID, comma hobby in another table. So we decompose the student relation into student course and student hobby tables, and these two tables are now in fourth normal form. So as we just see, whenever two independent one-is-to-many relationships, A is to B and A is to C, are mixed up in the same relation, which consists of the attributes A, B and C, a multi-value dependency may arise, right? That is, if you are having a one-to-many relationships are mixed up in the same relation, there is a chance for this MVD. Okay, now let's look into this EMP relation, which consists of three attributes: employee name, product name, and the dependent name. This product name and the dependent name are independent attributes. So this there occurs a chance for this MVD. So we are decomposing this EMP relation into two, with EMP name, comma P name in one table and E name and D name in another table. Now let's look at another example, the teaching database, which consists of three attributes: course, book, and lecturer. Lecturer to the course and the book to the course are independent of each other, and this leads to the concept of multi-valued dependency. And if we want to add a new book to the particular course, we have to add the record for the lectures also. Similarly, if you want to add a lecture details, we need to add the details of the course or the book also. Okay, so this databases with MVD thus exhibits redundancy. So we have to remove this MVD from the table. So if we want to convert this to the fourth normal form, we have to remove this multi-value dependency. So we are going to decompose this relation into two, with course comma book in one relation and course comma lecturer in another relation. Now let's look into one more example, that's a pizza delivery database, which consists of three attributes: restaurant, pizza variety, and delivery area. Each row indicates that a given restaurant can deliver a given variety of pizza to a given area. Okay, and these varieties of pizza a restaurant offers are independent from the delivery area, and which leads to the multi-value dependency on this restaurant. Okay, so that is the pizza variety and the delivery area, that two are independent attributes. So to satisfy this fourth normal form, we have to remove this multi-value dependency. So we are decomposing this table into two: restaurant comma pizza variety in one table and restaurant comma delivery area in another table. Okay, so that's about the fourth normal form. So the fourth normal form, we have to remove the multi-valued dependencies from the table. Okay, multi-valued dependencies exist when there occurs more than one many-to-many relationships are there in the same relation, right? So that is, if we are having the independent attributes or independent entities existing in the same relation, then there occurs the chance for having this MVD. So we have to remove this MVD to have the relation in fourth normal form. Now let's discuss about the fifth normal form. This fifth normal form is based on the concept of joint dependencies. This phi-NF is also known as projected joint normal form, PJNF, or joint projection normal form, JPNF. A relation is said to be in fifth normal form if it is in fourth normal form and not contains any joint dependency, and joining should be lossless. That is, two conditions. It should satisfy two conditions. The first condition is it should be in fourth normal form, and the second condition is it should not contain any joint dependency. Yeah, what is this joint dependency? If a table can be recreated by joining multiple tables and each of this table is having a subset of attributes of the original table, then the table is in joint dependency. Okay, that is, the joint dependency is the generalized form of multi-value dependencies. Now let's have a relation named as R, which consists of four attributes A, B, C, and D. And we are going to decompose this relation R into two, R1 and R2. R1 is having the attributes A, B, and C, and R2 is having the attributes C, comma D. Okay, when we are going to join this R1 and R2. This R1 and R2, they are the decomposed tables from the original relation R. Okay, so we are going to join this R1 and R2 based on the common attribute C. Okay, so if the join of this R1 and R2 over C is equal to the relation R, then we can say that a joint dependency exists. That is, when we are joining these two tables R1 and R2, and if we are getting the original relation back, then we can say that there occurs a joint dependency. A joint dependency is said to be held over a relation R if R1 etc. Rn is a lossless joint decomposition of R. That is, while joining, the data should not lost. This lossless joint dependency is the property of decomposition which ensures that no spurious tuples are generated when the relations are reunited through the natural join operation. That is, we are not at all having any spurious tuples and we are not at all losing any information while joining through this natural join operation. That's the property of decomposition, lossless joint dependency property. So a joint dependency denoted by JD of R1, R2, etc. Rn specified on the relation schema R can be defined based on a constraint on the states R of R. So this constraint states that every legal state R of R should have a non-additive joint decomposition into R1, R2, etc. Rn. That is, for every such R, we have the projection of R1 on the state R, comma, projection of R2 on state R, etc. Projection of Rn on R is equal to the relation R. Okay, so a joint dependency JD R1, R2, etc. Rn specified on the relation schema R is a trivial joint dependency if one of the relation schema Ri in the joint dependency is equal to the relation schema. So it is said to be trivial if one of the relation schema Ri is equal to R. Now, as let's look at an example. We are having a table R with three attributes x, comma y, comma z. Okay, and when we are going to decompose this one into two tables x with attributes x, y, and x, z. Okay, so when we are joining these two tables R2 and R3 with the attributes x, comma y and x comma z respectively, and if you are getting back the original relation R, then it is said to be a lossless joint decomposition. Okay, when we look into that, we are going to combine this x relation R2 and R3 based on the common attribute x. So we will be getting the tuples 1, 3a. Then for the second row, x value is 3, y value is 1, the z value is b. Then the third row, 2, 2, c. So we'll be getting the original relation back, right? So this is a lossless joint decomposition. Now let's look into this table XYZ with four tuples T1, T2, T3 and T4. In all these four tuples, the X value is same. Okay, when we are going to have a projection operation X comma Y on this relation R, we will be having only two tuples in the relation. Why? Because the duplicate entries are removed. The first tuple 1A, the second tuple 1B, the third tuple is 1A. It is duplicating, so that one is duplicated entry is avoided. The fourth tuple is 1B, that entry is also avoided. So the projection of x comma y on the relation R will give us only two tuples. Similarly, x comma z on the relation R. Let's look into that. The first tuple is 1f combination, the second tuple is 1g combination, third tuple is 1g. It is repeating, right? So that entry is avoided. And the fourth tuple is 1f, that is also repeating. So that entry is also avoided. So here also we'll be getting only two tuples, 1f and 1g. Okay, fine. So when we are going to perform this natural join operation between these two tuples, xy and xz, we are going to perform a natural join operation on these decomposed tables. So what will be the output? We are going to combine this one based on the common attribute x, right? So what will be the resultant value? The resultant table will be consists of the tuples 1, a, f. Then the second row, the x value is 1, the y value is b, and the z value is g, right? So we'll be getting only two tuples. But in the original relation, we are having four tuples. So the tuples 1AG combination and 1BF combination is missing. That is, we are losing some information. So this is not at all a lossless joint decomposition. So let's summarize our normal forms. If it is in the first normal form, it should not have any repeating groups. That is, all the attributes should have only atomic values. Then in the second normal form, you should not have any partial dependency on the primary key. Third normal form means we should remove all the transitive dependency. BCNF means every determinant should be a candidate key. Fourth normal form means no multi-value dependency exists, should be there in the table. And finally, the fifth normal form means we have to remove the joint dependencies from the relation. So these are the various normal forms. Now let's summarize the various normal forms. If you are having this UNF, if you are removing the repeating groups from the unnormalized form, we'll be getting the first normal form. If you are removing the partial dependencies from the first normal form, we'll be getting the second normal form. Then remove the transitive dependencies to get the third normal form. Remove all the remaining anomalies from the functional dependencies to get the BCNF, and remove the non-trivial NVDs from the BCNF table to get the fourth normal form, and from the fourth normalized table, remove the joint dependencies to get the fifth normal form for normalized table. So among these six different normal forms defined in theory, only the first four have significance in practice. And of these four, only three are based on the functional dependencies. The fourth one is based on the multi-value dependency. Okay. The first, second, and partly the third normal form suffer from the update anomalies. Whereas the BCNF relation schema is free of update anomalies and represents the possible goal of normalization. Okay, so that's all about the various normal forms. We already discussed about the first normal form, second normal form, third BCNF, fourth normal form, and fifth normal form. Okay. So in this video, we discussed in detail about the various normal forms like BCNF, multi-value dependency and fourth normal form, joint dependency and fifth normal form. Thank you.